going to go ahead and get started. And then if anyone joins us a little bit late, we can welcome them then. So first up, I thought what we would do, since some people who are on the call today were not on the call back in August. Gosh, it feels like a lifetime ago in some ways. So I thought we would give them a little bit of time to introduce themselves. And so I'm going to change my slide. There it is. Okay, so for those of you who were not on the call in August, I probably know who you are, but you also probably know who you are. So if you wouldn't mind, I will go ahead and, let's keep it organized. I'll call your name. And if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the group, giving us your name, your class year, reunion number, how many times you've attended Alumni Weekend, and why you chose to get involved as a reunion volunteer. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Sarah, would you mind introducing yourself first, please?
Sure. I'm Sarah Smith. I was in the class of 66, the second graduating class. There were only 10 of us in that class. And just wanted to stay. I've been to a couple of the alumni weekends. And I thought with the decreasing number of students in my class that are able to attend one of these, I thought it would be good to just keep my voice in the room. And I just really appreciated everything that I got from being at Pitzer. So it's a way to give back.
Wonderful. Well, we're very happy to have you here and representing the class of 66. So thank you so much.
Sure.
Next, let's go ahead. Madeline, why don't you introduce yourself?
Did you say Madeline? It was kind of hard.
Yes, go for it.
Okay. Well, as I just added, because of Sarah putting class of 66 on there, I thought that's cool. So 73, which was the 10th time. And I'm still cooking. It was wonderful. But I do think that we were still all women, but we started having a handful of guys started. And then the next year, some guys came in official. And the biggest thing was that when it was all women, they really worked it and everything was under their guard. And then it became a boy-girl thing, which has its point, but having just the females was really cool. I'm still in Los Angeles.
Great. Thanks so much, Madeline. I'm glad to see your face. We've spoken on the phone a few times, so it's nice to have you here tonight. So thanks for joining us. Next on my list is JC, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Sure. Hey everyone. My name is JC and pronouns they, them. My class year is 2013. Reunion number will be 10. I've been at one of the alumni weekends, the 5-year. And
Casey, you're a little hard to hear.
I'm hard to hear. Okay, is that better?
Better, thank you.
Okay. I chose to volunteer. Well, I love this community a lot. I basically live across the street now, so I'm obviously a big fan. I came back to the area. Just have a lot of positive memories and great folks, and want to be a part of that and bringing folks together and doing, fun things, meaningful things together. So.
Awesome. Thanks so much, JC. Next on my list, I think the only other person who wasn't present for the August meeting is Hajar. Are you able to unmute and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. Let me know if you can't hear me. Hajar, she, her, class of 2018. So this is, I think, our first big reunion. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't know. I think most of the reunions would have been during COVID, so I don't think we've really had any, or at least I have not been to them. Excited to get folks together.
Wonderful. Thank you. Glad to have you here. Okay, so now I thought we would go ahead and open it up to everyone. And, usually these are called icebreakers, but since it was almost 100 degrees here in Southern California today, I'm calling it a warm up. Feel free, not everyone has to participate. If you feel like sharing, just kind of unmute and open up. So this is just a what's your favorite lately? So pick two from the list and share with us. I'll go ahead and start. Lately, I have gotten really into reading Greek mythology as fiction. And so I've consumed 3 books in the last week and a half. So if you need any recommendations and you're interested, let me know. And then I'll also choose hobbies. So the hobby that I've gotten into, my coworkers on the call, Shannon and Jill and Brooke, are aware, but I recently decided to try to learn how to crochet. And so I have an array of nieces and nephews, and I've been crocheting these little stuffed animals, basically. So it is very slow going, and I feel like I have a lot of choice words while I'm doing it, but I've been really pleased with the little miniature crochet tiger and crochet dinosaur that I've made so far. So I will open it up to anyone else who wants to warm up and share a couple of things that you've been into lately.
Oh, let's see.
Looks like Jill has a hand. Well, I have one. I'm always looking for book recommendations. I read constantly. So I'm a sociologist. I did a sociology major at Pitzer and then grad school at UC Santa Barbara. And here's a book. It's backwards. So it's Extra Life by Stephen Johnson. I just finished it, and it's really an interesting read because it talks about the innovations and societal changes that have made it possible for life expectancy to increase in the last century and a half. And I come from a medical family. Many of the innovations were public health sorts of things, sanitation, safe water supply, that kind of thing. And then learning about how diseases are transmitted and controlling the sources. So a really good read. Very interesting stuff. It reminds me of Malcolm Gladwell. Just very readable stuff, but very thought-provoking. And then my hobby, I'm also an artist. So participating in a couple of juried art shows now and in the coming weeks, and getting ready for the holidays. So that's me.
Thanks so much, Mary. I jotted down the title of that book. So thank you.
Yeah, it's really a good read.
Wonderful. Anyone else want to unmute and share with the group?
I can go. So book, I've been reading, I've just gotten into reading all of these Ken Wilber books recently, which are all integral theory, and there's every kind of integral psychology and mapping levels of consciousness and all of that. And I think it was the most recent book. It's called The Religion of Tomorrow. More inclusive, more comprehensive, and it goes through, really looking at the psychological development and spiritual development and bringing all that together. And it's this is what I've been trying to map for a long time. Somebody could have told me, somebody could have recommended. But yeah, I was basically writing an essay like that to get into Pitzer about these topics. So that was a cool discovery. And then food, I went to a chocolate festival on Sunday, and the best was this fellow named Albert, Albert's Petite Sweets. And I'm a chocolate person, Belgian chocolate, I go for, the good stuff. And this guy's out of the box thinker, self-taught, and he was on Baker's Dozen and won that. So that was kind of a fun thing. He's just such a lovely person, and his chocolate was amazing. So that's another recommendation if you like chocolate.
Awesome. Thanks, JC. Okay, I think that we have maybe time for one more person to share if they'd like. Anyone else? All right, great. Well, we have a pretty full agenda, so we will go ahead and get started. So first, I'm going to start with some updates for everyone, just some quick updates about Alumni Weekend. And then Shannon, I'm going to hand it over to Shannon, and she's going to get really in-depth about reunion giving and class gift designations. From there, she'll pass it back over to me. We'll talk about Classmate outreach, and I'm going to share my screen and show you how class contact lists will be shared with you soon. And then we'll open it up for discussion and then just have some kind of meeting wrap up following that. So first, updates. So I am very excited to let you know that we put the finishing touches on the Reunion Volunteer Handbook today. So I am going to be emailing that out to everyone later this week when I send it along with the recording of this meeting. And so if you're not on the call, don't worry, you'll get the handbook. And if you are, we're very excited. Hopefully this will have some great tools for you that can help you in your outreach to your classmates. Next, we have determined, thank you to everyone who provided feedback on the preference for time and sort of day for monthly meetings. And so I have taken a look at everyone's feedback from the survey, and in the email that I send you later this week, sort of as like a wrap up, I'll include the dates and times for all of our meetings moving forward, starting with October and beyond. So that way you can plan accordingly if you're able to make it, or if you're able to shift a little something to be able to attend, you'll have all of those meeting days and times. They will all be virtual, so we'll keep it in this format. And then finally, just letting you know that we really are in the beginning stages of planning for Alumni Weekend. So it's very exciting. Like I mentioned in some of my communications and in our last meeting, this is the first one we're having in person and on campus since before the pandemic. So it's really exciting, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you all some of the planning as it comes to fruition and incorporating your ideas. Next, just to let you all know that the save the date communication about Alumni Weekend will be going out to all alumni next month. So we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail in some of the communications that I'll be sending out to you all in the coming weeks. But the save the date for Alumni Weekend is coming out to everyone next month. So something to look forward to for sure. So in that same vein, I wanted to share with you some of the branding that our communications team has come up with for Alumni Weekend 2023. Oh, sounded like maybe someone came off mute, but I'm going to carry on. If you have a question, feel free to chime in. So just wanted to share with you sort of the visual identity, if you will, of the branding for Alumni Weekend. And so you can see it here, and we'll use different versions of the branding on different communications on the website and that sort of thing. So you can kind of see the branding there. I have a few slides of the images to share with you. This here is an example of a web or email banner that we may use in communications from the college. So you can see kind of carrying that visual theme through. And then these next slides, this is not showing actual programming for Alumni Weekend, but these are examples of what we'll use to promote Alumni Weekend programming through social media. So just a couple of different looks and templates to kind of give you a visual of the marketing that we plan to do for Alumni Weekend. And a little bit more of that here. So I think it's really clean and beautiful. It looks fun to me. It's very warm and inviting. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that in action as we market Alumni Weekend to all alumni. And then from there, I'm going to hand it over to Shannon to talk about reunion giving and class gift designation.
Yes, thank you, Leslie. And so nice to see everyone. For those I didn't get a chance to meet during our last volunteer summit, my name is Shannon Specratelli, and I'm the Interim Executive Director for Alumni and Family Engagement and Annual Giving. And so I want to just talk with you a little bit today about your reunion class gift. So in addition to, coming up with some great programming for your reunion, we really want to engage you at this level and get you talking to your classmates about the reunion class gift. And so as a committee, you will have, you will be making the decision as far as what fund you want to rally around. So selecting your class gift designation. And we'll be providing some information to you about the different priority funds. So Leslie mentioned that we've created a volunteer handbook, and we'll also be sharing these slides, which have information on each of the priority areas. And then I wanted to mention that all gifts that are made, regardless of the gift designation, will all count towards your class gift participation. And so in partnership with Leslie and myself, you're going to be setting 3 different goals. One is for your class participation. So this is, your classmates making a gift to the class gift, whatever designation you select. A class fundraising goal. So this is dollars raised. And then also reunion attendance. And so what I want to share with you about these goals is that we're currently working to get some benchmark data that will help you set those goals. So we're looking at, what each of the classes has raised in previous reunions, and then also looking at what the milestone classes have raised in previous years. So how has the 10th reunion class done in terms of participation and fundraising all the way through, our trailblazers. So we'll be providing that benchmark data and then working with you to develop some goals then to share with your classmates. Okay, next slide. All right. So as I mentioned, we have a couple of fundraising priorities. And so these are the different funds that we're really highlighting right now. And so we'll be providing more information on each of these funds, as well as some talking points for you to share with your classmates as you're doing your outreach. But the main funds that we're really focusing on for this year are the Pitzer Fund and the Pitzer Annual Scholarship Fund, which are both unrestricted funds. And then we have some special funds, including our Strive to Thrive Fund, the Student Garden, the Robert Redford Conservancy for Southern California Sustainability, the Melvin Oliver Racial Justice Initiative, and of course, Pomona-Pitzer Athletics or Station Athletics. So on the next slides, I'm not going to go into great detail on each of these funds because again, we're going to be providing more details following the meeting. But just to cover kind of at a high level each of these, the first 2, as I mentioned, the Pitzer Fund and the Annual Scholarship Fund are both unrestricted. And so the Pitzer Fund is really supporting those areas of greatest need, right, for our students. And so again, this is unrestricted, and these are funds that really provide the college with the flexibility to respond to the most immediate needs, most immediate student needs. And the next fund is the Annual Scholarship Fund. And so this is really dedicated to supporting our students who may not have the financial means to pay tuition. And so this is really opening up those doors and creating those opportunities for students. And really, Pitzer is committed to meeting the full financial aid of our students. So this is such an important fund, and we're really, really committed to, again, providing these opportunities to our students. Okay, and Strive to Thrive, this is a program that was started in 2019, and it's really focused on student wellness, and it's a very holistic approach. And we have a lot of programming that is built in to support our students at so many levels. So for their mental wellness, physical wellness, and so we have programming going on throughout the year, including things like wellness activities. We have what we call wellness. We have, I think, Wellness Mondays and Wednesdays now, and just lots of great programming to support our students. And also a wellness space that has just been created. So we're really excited about this initiative and just supporting our students in this way. Okay. And the next is the Student Garden. This is really exciting because I think for many of you who were on campus probably, let's see, the student garden started in 1994. So you might remember this space as being a parking lot. And so, this space was transformed into this incredible garden that now includes chicken coops and just an incredible space for our students. And it's student run. So we have our student garden club that actually takes care of the garden and oversees the garden. But we really need support in this area in terms of maintaining and sustaining the garden. Just looking at the operating budget to keep it going. So this is really a great area of need and a great area to support. And the next one is the Robert Redford Conservancy. And hopefully some of you have had a chance to visit, or you've, driven down Foothill and you've seen it just north of campus. But of course, this was named in honor of Robert Redford and really his commitment to environmental advocacy. And so just a couple of points on this particular fund. This was founded in 2012. And really the mission is to educate and cultivate environmental scholars and stewards and educate the next generation of environmental change makers. Okay. And the next one is the Melvin Oliver Racial Justice Initiative. And this one was introduced in 2022, named in honor of President Oliver. And the mission here is really to promote analysis and activism around social justice issues. And really strives to develop programming in 3 primary areas: curricular transformation, co-curricular transformation, and structural transformation. And the next fund or area is our Pomona-Pitzer Athletics, or Sage-Hen Athletics. And so any gifts that are made to our general athletics fund or any one of our 21 varsity teams go towards the champions of Sage-Hen Athletics, or as a donor of athletics, you become a champion of Sage-Hen Athletics, that giving society. So those are the main funds, again, that we're rallying around, and we would love to, just get your support and rallying your class around, one of these funds that really resonates with your class. Okay.
Hey, Shannon, before I take over, can you talk a little bit about how our volunteers will chat with their peers about class gift designation and how to let us know what the designation is for their class once it's been decided?
Yes, absolutely. So Leslie and I are actually working on some communications that will go out to your classmates. So, crafting some templates that you will then personalize as you do your outreach. And the first one is really going to be this welcome communication, right? Introducing yourself as a reunion volunteer, and then sharing this information with your classmates, letting them know here are some of the areas or areas of fundraising priority that you will have to choose from, right? So selecting one of these areas. And then we also have a form which Leslie has developed. We're going to be sharing that as well. And folks will be able to go in and select the gift designation. So each class will do that. Okay.
All right, thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
If you're open to it, I thought maybe we could pause here and see if anyone has any questions about the giving or any of the class gift designation opportunities. I see, Sarah, you have your hand raised. Thank you so much. Feel free to unmute and go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, could you explain what the Melvin Oliver fund is for? I didn't understand if there's a specific curricular goal, or I don't understand what that would be.
Right. So this is, there are a number of different initiatives sort of tied into RJI, a Racial Justice Initiative, excuse me, includes programming. We have a lectureship that's also included. And so this is ongoing, right, in terms of programming that's being offered to really deepen our students' understanding of racial justice issues. I don't know if that helps clarify a little bit, but we'll also be providing more information on each of these funds again, and some talking points that will, be helpful in your discussions with your classmates.
I do recall that curricular wise, there were some grants. Faculty were encouraged to create, courses addressing the Justice Initiative. And so there has been some curricular transformation going on, and the co-curricular are the students. And yeah, so it really is attacking topics in multiple ways. So it's a really exciting fun. The college is excited about it.
Thank you both. Does anyone have any other questions about reunion giving, class gift designation? Of course, you can ask questions anytime. I just thought I might pause before we sort of switch gears a little bit. Okay, so I am going to switch gears then onto classmate outreach and class contacts lists. So I'm going to ask for a little bit of grace and for everyone to bear with me, because I'm going to be stopping sharing and then resharing and switching through multiple screens to show you a few things. I thought that since we have Zoom as an opportunity, I might show you exactly how the class list sharing is going to work sort of virtually. So that way, once I start sharing the class list with you, you'll kind of know sort of how it works. And then of course, if you have questions, I'm more than happy to do a one-on-one Zoom with you to show you around. But basically what's going to happen is once you've signed your confidentiality agreement, so just another reminder in real life to please sign the confidentiality agreement. I've received a signed agreement from about half of the group. But definitely we can't share any of your classmates' contact information until you sign that confidentiality agreement. So when I say sign, it's not actually signing on a dotted line with a pen and a piece of paper and like faxing or mailing it in. It's just clicking on a link from my email, reading the confidentiality agreement, which is about 2 paragraphs long, and then typing in your name as your digital signature and submitting that. So once you do that, I automatically get a notification that you've done it, and then I know that I can share class contact information with you. So first and foremost, that's my plug. So thank you to those of you who've already done that. I will continue sending the link to it in my emails that I send you until I have all of them signed. So just a reminder there for you. All right, so once you've signed the confidentiality agreement, that means I can share your classmates' contact information with you. So there's a few things that I want to talk about in regards to that. So the way that the information is going to come to you is I'm going to share exactly what it looks like. You're going to get an email, and it is going to tell you that I have invited you to view a folder on something called Box. So Shannon, can you nod if this is the right screen? Leslie Garrity is, okay, perfect. So you'll get an email that looks very similar to this, and it's going to say that Leslie invited you to collaborate on class of, and then it's going to say your class. I picked 2007 because no one in 2007 is in reunion this year. So I knew that was a good test for me rather than accidentally share information. So it'll say this. So you're going to click on accept invite. And what that's going to do is it's going to take you to Box. Let me explain what Box is. Box is essentially a digital file folder that is held on the internet instead of on your computer at home. So it's something that, let me use Mitchell and JC as an example. So you're both class of 2013. And so you'll both be accessing the same list. And so utilizing Box is a really helpful way for me to share that with you, because you'll both be looking at the same digital list. And if you make any updates or notes on that list, say JC, you call a couple of folks and you put some notes, then when Mitchell looks at the list, he'll be able to see that. So that's essentially what Box will do. It's going to look it's going to ask you to sign up for a Box account. It's free. All you're doing is basically saying, yes, I've been invited to this folder, and yes, I need to access this folder. So once you've done that, I'm going to share my screen again.
Wait, we couldn't have done this in Google Docs or Google Sheets?
So the reason why we can't do it in Google is because Pitzer has to be mindful of the confidentiality and protection of the constituents' contact information. And so we're sort of beholden to how the college will let us share information sort of outside of the college.
Okay.
And so Box is the way that Pitzer is comfortable sharing that information.
All right. And I sent Jenna a confidentiality thing like last year. Can you just
Oh,
make
cool.
sure you have it?
I will. Yeah, let me make a note real quick, Mitchell. Thank
Thanks.
you. Okay. All right, so now let me make sure I'm going to pull up the right screen to show you what it's going to look like. Bear with me here just one second. Okay. All right, so here we go. Okay, so can everyone see my screen where over here it says Box? Wonderful. Okay, so this is me logged in with my work Box account, and so this will look a little bit different for you, but what we're looking at right here is actually the contents of the folder. So you can see here it's class of 2007, test folder share, and you see that it has 3 files in it. So I'm just going to walk you through what each of these are. First is this one that says reunion volunteers start here. So go ahead and open that file when you first get access to your Box folder. It's basically just some tips and reminders about Classmate outreach. So it's just a real quick sort of 3 or 4 points that we want to share with you and just remind you of, so you can click there, open that and take a look. The other thing that is in the Box folder is this Alumni Weekend 23 reunion volunteer roster. So this is basically a list of all of the reunion volunteers as well as their email address. So that way, particularly for those of you who are going to be like collaborating and doing outreach to people within the same class, you'll have each other's contact information there and you can reference that. Now this right here is the Classmate contact information. So I'm going to click on this and yours is going to say your actual class year. With the exception of those of you who are in the Pitzer Trailblazers classes. So Sarah, you're from 66 and then everyone through to 73, you're considered a Pitzer Trailblazer like we talked about in our last meeting. And so all of your class information is together. You'll be able to see who's in what class year, but it's all together in the same folder. So you'll click on your Classmate contact information with your class year. And then you're going to see what looks kind of like just a spreadsheet, okay? And so what I want to point out to you here is that it's going to be preloaded with all of your classmates' contact information here. So this obviously is not anyone's real classmates. I have myself and Shannon on here, Cecil Sagehen, Elle Woods, Mrs. Doubtfire, Buddy the Elf. So this will be your actual classmates that are in here. And a few things I want to point out to you here. Now, if you are a reunion volunteer for, let's say, the class of 2007, and you're the only person currently volunteering, you're going to be the only person operating off this list. So you can use it as you see fit. For those of you who have more than one person in your class that's volunteering as a reunion volunteer, you're going to be sharing this contact information. So I've added a couple of columns here, assigned to and status. So you can talk amongst yourselves and decide how you want to utilize these. For example, if Shannon and I are both reunion volunteers for a class of 2007, we may talk ahead of time and sort of take a look at our class list. And Shannon may say, oh, you know what, Cecil and I were besties. I roomed with Elle. Let me contact Cecil and Elle. So she might come in and type her name here in assigned to. So I know she's contacting those folks. I'm going to contact the others. So I'm going to contact Mrs. Doubtfire and Buddy the Elf. And so I've marked that there. Then as we start making communication, if we want to keep each other informed, Shannon can let me know how has she talked to Cecil? Has she been trying to call Elle, but Elle's not answering? She can add those notes there. So that way she can kind of keep track of where she's at with it. One other thing I want to point out is you'll see that there's a couple of areas where there might be missing contact information. For example, Cecil doesn't have a phone number and Mrs. Doubtfire doesn't have an email address. So what Shannon's going to do when she reaches out to Cecil via email is she might ask Cecil, hey, do you have an updated phone number that you want to share with Pitzer? Cecil may say, no, thanks. That's fine. Cecil may say, you know what? I would love for Pitzer to have my phone number and provide it. So Shannon could update the phone number here. And then she would also maybe take note that, hey, I got a new phone number from Cecil, or if it's me, I got a new email address for Mrs. Doubtfire. And so I can take note of that, and I'll come back to that in a little bit, where you can enter that information as well. So this is the Classmate information that we'll be sharing with you. I'll pause real quick. Does anyone have any questions about what I've shown you so far? Looks like no questions yet. That's great. All right, so let me check my list and make sure I've got everything. Okay, so the one other thing that I wanted to show you is the Classmate interactions form. So in our meeting in August, Shannon mentioned this, I believe, in some of her talking points. And so I am going to share it real quickly with you all. Sorry, Zoom is covering all of my tabs across the top that I want to click through. Just a second. Okay, so this is the reunion volunteer conversations form. So this is hopefully a really easy way for you to let us know about your conversations with your classmates. So I will include this link in the next email that I send to you so you can see it. But basically, this is sort of, like I said, what Shannon was talking about in our meeting back in August, that as you're chatting with your classmates, we'd love to know about it. So things like their name and class year. So I'm just going to type in test so that way we can go through this. So actually, maybe I'll just say Leslie. I'm class of 2007. Who did I contact? I contacted Mrs. Doubtfire. How did we contact them? So you'll see some options here. So if you called them, you can mark phone call. If you emailed them, you can mark email. I'll go ahead and mark phone call. And then when did I contact them? So I spoke with them today. And then a brief summary of your interaction. So I could put in notes here about, they're doing well, they're looking forward to alumni weekend, and they're interested in learning more about the Melvin Oliver Racial Justice Initiative, maybe, or they want to recommend some faculty who they'd really like to see at alumni weekend. So you might put some of those details here. And then we have some like pre-populated options. So you can just checkbox these things. So if they plan to attend alumni weekend, if they're interested in serving on a reunion class committee, so if they want to be a reunion volunteer as well, you could check that box. If they've made a pledge, let's say you talked to them about your class gift designation and they were really excited about it. And they said, you know what, I totally want to give. I may not be able to give much, but I'd love to give. You could mark that. And then if you got any kind of updated information, so a new address, a phone number, an email address, anything like that, you might check with this box. So earlier, I used the example that Shannon was able to get a phone number for Cecil Sagehen. So if she were filling this out for that interaction, she would mark this box here. And then another option, if the person who you speak to would like Pitzer to follow up with them and maybe talk with them, maybe you talk with someone who is interested in or has questions that you weren't able to answer. And they're like, I'd really like to hear from Pitzer about that. You can check that box and we can reach out to them. And then more detailed notes. So here we have sort of some sentence starters, I guess, if you will, where you can provide more detailed notes. So this for sure, I want to enter that I got updated information for, we'll say Cecil Sagehen. So I would say something like updated phone number, and then maybe include that phone number here, for example. And then you'll click submit. We'll receive that and we'll make sure we update their information with the college. Okay, so that is the Classmate interaction form. So I'll pause there and see if anyone has any questions about that.
What happens to this information on the back end?
On the back end, it comes through to Pitzer Advancement, and then it depends on what the information you're providing is. So for example, the example of a new phone number, we'll update their phone number in our system so that way we have their phone number. If you marked one of the options of, I want someone from Pitzer Advancement to contact me, then someone from Pitzer Advancement will contact that person. If it's something like they want to make a donation or they want to make a pledge, you'll mark that. And then of course, we'll follow up with them to connect with them in order for them to be able to make that pledge.
How much of this information is getting recorded in Razor's Edge?
It would all be going into Razor's Edge.
Okay, so we're doing discovery calls.
You're doing what?
Oh, nothing.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone? All right. I am going to switch back over to our PowerPoint and we will pick it up from there. Okay. One last friendly reminder about the confidentiality agreements. Okay, so that is all for now. That is all of our agenda. So is there anything that anyone wants to discuss? Any questions about anything we covered? Any questions about anything we didn't cover? Any questions or discussion topics at all that we want to talk about as a group?
I had some questions. Are there some activities that have been nailed down, scheduled? So I had notes from our last meeting that there were a few things that it sounded like they were approved and probably going to be put on the calendar. So do you have some information about that?
That's a great question. I think that some things we can definitely count on happening are some of the things that Jenna mentioned in the last meeting. So like a multiple C, usually it's 3C, wine tasting, for example. We'll want to bring the alumni awards back. We haven't done that like a formal celebration of that within the last couple of years. So that'll definitely be on there. But to answer your question more directly, nothing has been officially set in the schedule just yet. So I do feel like to a certain extent, the possibilities are endless, but a lot of the regular programming, like the multiple C wine tasting, the alumni awards, a celebration dinner, hearing from Pitzer's president, things like that will definitely be in the schedule. In my last email, I shared a link to a form that you all can submit your ideas for either your class reunion celebration or for your just any suggestion you have for alumni weekend. And so you can definitely submit that. Mary, we have detailed notes from you and your and the rest of the group from the last meeting about types of programming. I know several people have suggested we bring alumni college back. We talked about tie-dye. We did reach out to an alumni about tie-dye who is very interested in coming and helping and doing sort of an activity for that. And so nothing's been solidified yet, but a lot of opportunities and ideas in the works for sure.
I think it would be helpful to have a few items to tell people when we start doing outreach, get people excited about, something that's happening on Friday night or, just so that they can start thinking about when they want to come and what they want to be sure and do.
I totally agree. I think what we can provide you now is probably not something as specific as on Friday night, but I think we can provide you with some programming that we can absolutely count on being a part of Alumni Weekend. And then probably as we get a little bit closer to the end of the year, beginning of the year, we can share actual, like, we've left this in for Friday night, or this is definitely happening on Saturday morning, that sort of thing, to help fuel those conversations, because I can definitely see the value in that. So thank you for that.
Where's Jenna? Isn't she the director of alumni relations?
Jenna is not in this meeting right now. Shannon, do you want to speak to that at all?
Sure. So Jenna has actually transitioned to a role where she's dedicated to managing advancement events. And so she'll still be involved in this effort and with reunion planning as far as helping with event logistics. So, we knew that today we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about, the class lists and reunion giving. So we wanted to be mindful of her time. And so she's not with us today, but she'll still be involved in terms of the event logistics.
Okay, I love working with Jenna. She's amazing.
Any other questions or anything else anyone wants to discuss?
Yeah, I was curious about just following up with Mary's question about the programming, like a sort of timeline of how our ideas come together, or just to kind of give us a sense of when when we need to start to crystallize that all together.
I appreciate the question for sure. So there's sort of two deadlines to keep in mind. And I use the term deadlines loosely. I mean, they're definitely good targets. And the sooner we have your ideas, whether they're fully crystallized or not, the sooner we can start putting some planning into the works for it. So for anything that is reunion class celebration specific, we want to give you a little bit more time to talk to your classmates and sort of come up with those ideas a little bit more in detail. And so the deadline to give us your reunion class specific ideas is December 9th. So you've got a couple of months. For the all class programming, I imagine some of that feedback and suggestions will be a little bit more focused on activities that would involve more volume of people, more quantity of people who are attending, but also that would involve, guest speakers or panelists or faculty. And so we want that a little bit earlier so we can try to tackle schedules and specific people or specific activities sooner. And so the deadline for all class programming suggestions is November 18th. So about 3.5 weeks before the need for the reunion specific stuff. So does that answer your question, JC? A little bit more structure to it? What? Great.
Leslie,
Oh, go ahead.
were you on the email did Jenna share with you the list of ideas that I had sent to her?
She did, and my favorite idea is puppies. I liked all of the ideas, but I am such a dog person that the puppies definitely stood out to me. But yeah, I'll be in touch with you soon about that, Mitchell. Thanks for bringing it up.
Can you include JC on that, since we'll be working, and John Rice, since we'll be working on
Absolutely.
that together? Thanks.
For sure.
And Leslie, did I remember correctly? Is it we have a $500 budget, do we, for the individual class activity?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sarah, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I would love to see ideas that other people have. So if I don't know who was that was speaking that already sent you something, but maybe you could share things that other people have already thought of, just to tweak our minds. And then I wanted to go back to something. The 3 goals for this committee are class participation, class fundraising, and reunion attendance.
Yes.
So the participation means what? What is that tied to the fundraising, or is that?
It is. Yes. So that's specific to, how many folks from your class are actually making a class gift. So, we'll set a goal, and we'll look at how the class has done historically, how the milestone classes have done historically. So we'll arrive at those goals to say, our goal for participation is, we want 75% of the class to make a gift, right? Or whatever those goals might be. So participation being different from, the engagement piece or the reunion attendance piece.
So the class fundraising is just the total amount that's brought in, or what? How is it different from the participant?
Right. So there's a fundraising goal. So we'll say, we want to raise X dollars. So we have a goal to raise, just hypothetically, $50,000 for a particular class. But we also have a goal to have, 75% of the class participate in the class gift or make a gift.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, JC, go for it.
Just had a quick question about that goals piece. So it seems like sort of all the goals are on the front end, like before somebody's arrived at the reunion. And I'm thinking, in terms of sustainability, and I noticed the question in one of the I think it was like where we write out our notes on our conversations, like how people feel towards Pitzer. Like, is there anything that captures their experience at reunion, like that they have a positive experience, like anything on that side of it?
Yeah, in terms of goals, or just in terms of, are we, trying to get a sense of how everyone is feeling about Alumni Weekend and reunion sort of post event?
Yeah, like because a goal organizes our behavior. We get oriented a certain way, and just thinking about the big picture, that somebody's experience has a major impact, how that might be included so that we're organized that way as well.
Right. No, I think it's a great suggestion. So, maybe looking at doing a post alumni weekend survey, right? And developing questions that would help us, determine, would somebody come back and celebrate their next reunion or participate in the reunion committee again. So I think there's definitely value in doing that, sort of collection of information and responses. So I'd love to, work with you, JC, and others on the committee to think about what are some of those questions we'd want to include.
Cool.
I wanted to chime in a little. JC, are you also, some of what I heard is kind of what Shannon addressed, but some of what I heard is also maybe as a group of reunion volunteers, or as this group, do we have goals? Yeah, there's participation goals, there's giving goals, but do we have goals that we want to keep in mind as we're communicating with folks about what their experience will be at Alumni Weekend? Is any part of what you were saying in that vein of having goals to focus our efforts and our conversation around how folks might enjoy or not enjoy Alumni Weekend?
Yeah, it could be. I think, yeah, my kind of intention with raising that is just thinking, once you have a goal, it organizes your behavior, and so just thinking about all the factors that influence people's feeling of connection and coming back, and seeing how we can integrate that in what we're doing.
I think that sounds great, and I like the intentionality behind it. And I think that that's something that I'd love to hear from everyone about, sort of their intentions of, this is an activity that we really enjoyed when we were students. So I'd love to recommend this activity to be a part of Alumni Weekend. Or this is something that my classmates and I did, if there was, I don't know, something like, I know recent alumni really enjoy taco night at the dining hall. So is taco night something that was so important to your class that maybe for one of the meals you want to make sure that there's a taco bar or something like that, just to kind of bring that nostalgia in and like enjoy some of the similar things. So I think that intention can be a part of a goal in determining what the Alumni Weekend programming is, for sure. And I'd love to hear from everyone about that. All right, well then I'm going to go ahead and just provide this slide here with a little bit of meeting wrap up. So again, if you haven't signed a confidentiality agreement, please do so as soon as you can. If you feel like you've signed one recently for Pitzer, let me know and I'll take a look and confirm that we have it. Shannon talked tonight about class gift designation. And so in my follow-up email, I'll be providing you with a link to provide that information to us if you want to talk amongst yourselves, talk with your classmates to sort of decide what could be your reunion class gift designation based on some of those options that Shannon discussed. I just want to remind that even if you come up with a class gift designation, say for Shannon and I come up with something for the class of 2007, as an example, and let's say my coworker Brooke is on this call, and Brooke is also class of 2007, but is interested in giving in a different way, she can still give, and it doesn't necessarily have to go to that designation that Shannon and I came up with, and it'll still be included in reunion class giving. So just a reminder about that. And then for those of you who have signed your confidentiality agreement, I will be sharing your class lists with you soon, as well as some suggested communications and templates for you to utilize if that's helpful, so you can start your class outreach as soon as you get those. And then, like I mentioned, the all class programming ideas that our target date for those submissions would be November 18th. And then our next meeting currently is scheduled for Tuesday, October 18th at 10 a.m. Remember that as much as we would love for you to attend all of the meetings, we are understanding that this is a big group and schedules don't always align. And so I hope to see you there. But if not, know that there will be another one in November, and I'll of course follow up with an email with notes and with a recording of the next meeting. So with that, I will say thank you for joining. It was great to see everyone, especially those of you who we weren't able to see last month. Thanks for joining today. And if anyone has any questions following this or anything, you know how to get in touch with me. I will be sending kind of a wrap up and the recording and some more information to you, as well as the Reunion Volunteer Handbook in the next week or so. And feel free to reach out in the meantime.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.